Masih panas.
Apa? Sudah, ini sudah juga. Ya, ada ya?
Air.
Oh, gitu. Jadi kan pakai ini. Oke,
Morning, everyone.
oh.
Good morning, everyone. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome you, our distinguished lecturer, Ibu Dr. Christina from Hungary, and special for our moderator in this morning, Bapak Dr. Umar. On behalf of undergraduate friends, we would like to in Hungary. Please, Pak Umar, for our discussion in this one.
Terima kasih Bu Arma, adik-adik semuanya, dan sebelumnya saya hormati respectful Miss Dr. Christina Fisher, PhD. Thank you for coming in this class, and we are happy for students that come along from Hungary until here just for you, my student. Philosophy class and criminology from class. And also Ibu Aroma, Dr. Aroma yang saya hormati sebagai Ibu Sekrodi ya. Kemudian adik-adik semuanya dari kelas Hukum Pidana IP dan dari kelas Filsafat Hukum kelas C ya. Pagi hari ini kita akan mendengarkan langsung dari Dr. Christina yang akan menjelaskan tentang kriminalisasi terhadap tunawisma atau criminalization from homeless di Hungary. Ya, kita akan dengarkan dan kemudian kita bisa bandingkan di Indonesia. Mungkin saya tidak banyak membahas ini ya karena saya bukan kajian pidana, tetapi ada ketentuan dalam KUHP dan dalam KUHP juga sudah dibahas tentang tunawisma, pemindanaan bagi gelandang. Kalau yang dulu seperti itu dan sekarang pemindahan bagi tunawisma. Kenapa bisa dipindahkan? Nah, nanti akan kita dengarkan. We will compare between Hungary and Indonesia in practice, in konsep, ya, dan di antara konsep dan praktek saja kita bisa bandingkan ya. Kemudian apa? Mungkin tidak usah lama-lama. Let's be study more from Christina and so this is quite complete to deliver the material criminal. And also Christina said to me that she is majorly study in criminal law. I think this is for introduction, so the time for Christina, and maybe if you want a seat or maybe just along in the class, this is room for you. Thank you, Christina. Let's begin, and please open your paper and the pen to writing down if there is some point that good for us to discuss and for our study. Next, the time for Christina.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. I think I will stand up because maybe you can hear me much more. So I would like to thank for the invitation to Indonesia. This is the first time I'm in Indonesia, and I am from Hungary. And I enjoyed, I arrived on the 10th of December, on the 11th of December, and I enjoyed these days very much. I met very nice people, nice students before. So thank you for these enjoyable days. For all the staff, Professor Dodik, Aroma too. So today I would like to speak about many things. the title of my presentation is Legal Positivism and the Rule of Law, but maybe I will change a little bit the topic as you can hear here. I will talk about some things, the criminalization of homelessness in Hungary, and but I would like to connect this question to legal philosophical problems, to how this connects to the problems of legal philosophy. So, wait, how can I use this? Okay, this is, I think, good. So at first, I would like to talk about the function and the nature of legal philosophy. Because, you know, I teach legal philosophy at the University of Debrecen, and a lot of times I experience some critics and some resistance against legal philosophy. Legal practitioners or also legal academics say that we don't need legal philosophy. As legal practitioners, we don't need it because it's too abstract. There are too abstract questions, abstract issues, and as a legal practitioner, why do I need to think over what philosophical questions of law are? So there are some resistance against philosophy in my country there. So that's why I would like to first to ask the question, why do I need legal philosophy? What is legal philosophy about? Maybe I could ask the question from you. Do you have, maybe, can I ask this question? Do you have any opinion on this? What is legal philosophy about? What do you think about this? Can I ask, do you want, it's not a problem if you don't want to answer, but maybe someone would like to answer this question. What's your opinion on this? What legal philosophy is? What questions legal philosophy deals with? Someone? Okay, it's no problem. I just maybe it was a shock for you to answer questions. But first, I would like to talk about legal philosophy, the nature of legal philosophy, as in our department we think what legal philosophy is or what questions legal philosophy are about. Why do we need it? We and I think that you know, first we have to answer the question what law is, and we think that law is a very practical thing, a very practical science. You know that law is an argumentative and normative social practice. This means that we have to solve ordinary people's problems. They come to us as lawyers or as judges, you know, and they say that we have a problem with each other. We would like to solve our problems, our life problems. And we have disagreement on what is legally right and what is legally wrong. And we have to solve this, we have to solve these problems. That's why our science, unlike natural science, is a very practitioner. You know, our science have to connect to practice, to the problems of ordinary people. We have to solve these questions. So, but and sometimes, you know, as I said, legal practitioners say that we don't need legal philosophy to solve ordinary people's problems. Why do we need to go deep inside the philosophical questions? We have to solve the ordinary people's problems quickly as possible and actively. And philosophy is not easy, and it has really abstract questions. So we don't need it. I would like to argue against this kind of conception. I would like to convince you that we need philosophy when we have to. Sometimes we need philosophical to ask philosophical questions when we solve people's problems. So that is my attention. That is my aim to convince you about this problem. So I think that jurisprudence or legal science is can be connected to legal philosophy and philosophical questions very much. Sometimes we need it. I think that I would like to convince you about the issue that philosophy and practice cannot be completely isolated. Sometimes we do not have to ask philosophical questions, but often we need to do it.
President, may I
Maybe,
answer to student?
yes,
May I?
yeah, of course,
Oke,
yes.
baik. Krisna mengatakan bahwa jadi bertanya apa itu legal philosophy kan, apa itu filosofi filsafat hukum. Hukum itu kan praktis ya, yang dimana setiap orang itu pasti ada masalah antara hukum dan ilmu hukum dan bagaimana menyelesaikan masalahnya. Berbagai macam perspektif dikeluarkan di situ. Ini menyelesaikan kasus hukum praktis ini kira-kira pakai metode apa, ilmu apa. Maka itulah gunanya filosofi hukum dalam sebuah kasus hukum yang terjadi di masyarakat. Yang pertama itu kesimpulan sebenarnya gitu ya. Kemudian harus nyambung juga, jangan sampai legal practitioner itu kemudian menyelesaikan kasusnya nggak connect, pakai ilmu apa, metode apa. Nah, itulah gunanya harus pakai legal philosophy. Karena kadang menyelesaikan masalah praktis itu tidak sama dengan ketika kita berbicara ilmu hukum, harus penggunaan legal philosophy-nya harus tepat. Dan ilmu hukum, kita bisa mendapatkan legal philosophy itu dari ilmu hukum itu dengan jurisprudensi, bisa dihubungkan dengan ilmu hukum dan kalau jadi itu sederhananya dari yang thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to the other slide. This is where you can see how I think about the place of legal philosophy in legal practice. That I think that we just need to find out where we could place the philosophical questions when we have to solve legal problems or the problems of people. There is a place for legal philosophy, I think, deep inside, and I would like to show you where I think this place is. I just think that I started the concrete legal issue of people, or concrete legal claim or legal problem. We start always, a lawyer has to start with the problem. The people come to us and say that I have a problem with my colleagues, I have a problem with other people, there are criminal act or something like this. There is always a problem, always an issue, a claim that people ask us to solve it. They want us to solve their problems. So we can start with this. This is our task to do, to find the solution for people's problem. And what do lawyers need when they have to solve these problems? First and directly, we should find the applicable law. That's the classic, our task. This is the classic task of a lawyer, to find the applicable legal rule, legal concept. I just quote on the slide that legal doctrines, we have to find the relevant rule which can be applied on the case, from which we can deduce the solution for the problem. And the problem is that sometimes it is easy. We find the law, we find the rule, or the statute, or the legal concept, and there is a solution in that. The rules are written and they are clear. Sometimes, and very often, it's easy to do it. We can tell the people, tell the defendant or the plaintiff that this is the solution, that is what you get. So sometimes it's easy, but very often it is not easy to find the solution for the problem. When can it happen? When we cannot find the solution, maybe it can happen that the legal rule is not too clear. There are many interpretations of it, many rational interpretations. There are disagreements among lawyers to what the good interpretation is. There can be 3 or 4 good interpretations of a legal doctrine. that is one problem. That can be a problem that we have to discuss what the good solution is. Or it can happen that, for example, the lawyer finds the legal rule, written legal rule unjust. The lawyer itself has some problem with the law. He thinks or he or she thinks that it's unjust. I would not like to take this decision for the plaintiff or for the defendant because I find it would be unjust or some problem. If she or he has some problem with the rule. So there can be problems in legal practice when when we don't know what could be the right answer on the problem, legally right answer. So that is when legal philosophy comes. That is when we have problems in legal practice, we cannot find the real answer, then where we can find the real answer. Where is the answer when the law itself cannot solve the problem? So then we don't have to be afraid of this problem. We have to find something else. And it's not possible that we find the decision just for ourselves, that I say that, okay, I will decide so, and that's right. We cannot do the lawyers. We cannot give subjective moral aspects and solutions for the people. They want legal solutions, but we don't have it. So that's why I think that in this level, we need to ask philosophical questions of law. Maybe that is why when legal philosophy comes into the picture of our legal knowledge, I think that legal philosophy has two directions in which we can ask. Maybe at the relevant case at hand, when we have to solve the case, then we have to go deep inside and think over the moral and political values that justify the law as a whole. Maybe we have to find some moral and political value, principle, which behind law, which justifies law itself. Maybe human rights, we have to think over what human rights are behind the legal case, what legal principles, for example, democracy or the rule of law, or these things can be there. There are moral and political values behind law. And that's when we have to go inside philosophical question. That is the one direction, or the possible direction to go deep inside. And the other question can be the nature of law. What law is? What reasons can be applied for the case? Maybe when legal doctrines do not have, then maybe we have to ask questions about the sources of law. What law is? Why we have to obligation for the law. So we have to ask the question of the nature of law. What law is? What can I apply on the relevant legal case? So I think that legal philosophy has a role in legal practice in cases when we don't have relevant legal answers or we have disagreement on the right interpretation of legal doctrines, or when we have some problem with the law itself, with legal doctrines itself, the judge thinks that it's unjust or there is a problem with this, with the content of the law. That is when legal philosophy comes.
Oke, yang kedua ini dalam praktek itu kadang hakim, pengacara, praktisi hukum itu bingung ketika ada legal doctrine, ada aturan seperti ini, seperti ini, itu maksudnya apa? Bagaimana? Nah, mereka bertanya kepada lecturer, kepada legal philosophy itu, kemudian bagaimana ini maksudnya hukumnya? Karena disitulah digunakan ketika ada misinterpretasi atau interpretation tentang legal doctrine, legal rules, atau aturan ataupun konsep hukum. Mana? Nah, Justifikasinya dengan apa? Legal doctrine tadi, ketika dianalisa dengan filosofi tadi, maka menggunakan baik itu bisa moral ataupun nilai politik ataupun dengan sumber hukumnya dari mana atau dengan perikatan-perikatan yang pernah terjadi sebelumnya. Jadi secara sederhana bahwa ada suatu ketentuan hukum yang dimana multi tafsir antara hakim tidak bisa memberikan keputusan yang adil bingung seperti apa, maka harus diterangkan lagi dengan yang namanya filosofis hukum. Itu gambaran dari yang disampaikan. Oke.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to the next slide. Thank you. So this is Hungary, a problem in Hungary. Now I will go into the question of the criminalization of homes. Yes. Sorry, my voice is going away. So I would like to show how legal philosophy can affect the solutions in legal practice. When we have to have legal philosophy, when we have to ask legal philosophy questions, through this example in Hungary, you know, as you hear, in Hungary, not long ago, the Hungarian government, the parliament, has adopted a legal rule which simply criminalizes to be homeless. You know, there are some homeless people in Hungary too. They are very poor. They don't have any, belongings, a house or something like this, and they live in the streets, on the streets, of course. It happens, and the government, of course, would like to solve this problem, but not on a social level, not with equal treatment of people or something like this. But it decided to adopt rules against homeless. Of course, they don't say that this is against the homeless people. They don't. They never even say that this is against the homeless. They are using general concepts in the rules. But of course, we know behind it, this is against the homeless people. And as you can see, the fundamental law of Hungary, our constitution, this is the constitution, says in this Article 22, Section 3, that using a public space as a habitual dwelling shall be prohibited. This is the fundamental law of Hungary. This is in our constitution, that living in the streets is some kind of small criminal act. You know, it's prohibited. It cannot live in the streets, and it's really just interesting to have such kind of article in the constitution. You know, we don't. I don't know. I think that we cannot find a country where there is a rule like this in the constitution. But we have it, and of course we have a law, a statute, a code for smaller criminal actions, for not the heavy criminal acts, just for smaller criminal acts. We have a code too, and this is the Act 2 of 2012 on misdemeanors, and the section 178(3) says that staying habitually on public is a misdemeanor. It's a smaller criminal act, not a heavy criminal act. And the punishments can be, I didn't write on the slide, but community service, dissuade the possession of the homeless people. So we can take their possessions, their small possessions, and destroy. And it can be custody, so they can be sent to jail. This is the hardest punishment for the homeless people, to send them to jail. And you know, the case is like this, that it doesn't happen immediately. First, we have to offer them go to dormitories, or to there are some special houses for them, just for them, to send them. But when they don't want to go there, and often they don't want to go there because they say that it's a very dangerous place for them. They kill each other or they can steal from each other. This is dangerous for them, and they don't want to go to these state dormitories. They want to stay in the streets rather instead. That because they think that it is more safe for them to stay. And when they decide this, that they don't go to dormitories, then the police can find them, and the police should warn them 3 times that you have to go away from here. That's it's not allowed to live here. Just go away. And when the police does this 3 times and they are still there, they can go to court. The police take them to court, and they can get these kind of punishments. Community service, so this way there are possessions and custody, jail, or fine. That can be money. They should pay money. They don't have any work, of course. There is a punishment. So this is the case in Hungary. I give that.
Di praktek legal philosophy ada 2 model di sini. Ini antara konstitusinya artikel 22 itu ya. Ayat 3 di mana di situ tempat public space itu tidak boleh digunakan sebagai tempat tinggal. Itu dilarang. Ada undang-undangnya, Undang-Undang Nomor 2 tahun 2017 tentang perbuatan pidana tidak baik nih ya. Section 178 bahwa meninggalkan tempat di ruang publik itu adalah menggunakan tempat di ruang publik itu perbuatan yang tidak baik. Akhirnya dikasih pidana. Nah, antara penggunaan 2 ini tadi kemudian mana yang lebih tepat digunakan ketika ada pemahaman yang beda, ini harusnya dihukum gimana, yang tegak yang atas apa yang bawah, legal filosofi digunakan di situ. Nah, kemudian kalau sudah diproses, tadi ada punishment-nya, ada kerja sosial, ada di luar negeri, atau distribution itu dialihkan, dipindahkan ke flat, penampungan kayak perumahan susun.
Yeah, thank you. And now the next slide is about the judicial practice on this problem. Some homeless people were taken to the court, and judges had to decide their case. What to do with them? What can they do? What kind of interpretation of law can they accept? That's so there were some cases in the judicial practice of the homeless people, and as you can see, judges of Hungary had a disagreement on the right answer for these problems. I will show you what kind of decisions they took, the different judges in Hungary. The first category of judicial decisions were easy. We can understand easy. Of course, it was conviction. They convicted homeless people. They said that, okay, you breached the law, you were living on the streets, so that's why I have to punish you, because that is what law says. This is in our constitution, and this is in our misdemeanor code. There are on a small criminal code, so this is the law. That's why I have to do this. I cannot care about your problems as a judge. I cannot ask questions of justice. I know that this is unjust, but I have to do what law says, what law expects from me as a judge. So that's why some judges applied law according to their plain meaning of the statute. They say that these statutes are clear, they are precisely defined, and you breached it. So I have to convict you, whatever it takes for you. Sometimes they have to pay money, or sometimes they have to go to the jail. That is the easy way of judging, applying law. But the problem is that some other judges took different decisions, and in a lot of cases they acquitted the homeless people, the defendants. They said that I know what law is, and law is clear. but, and I don't question its validity. I know that it's from the government, I cannot question it, I cannot challenge the law, but they try to find some other kinds of possibilities to agree them. Because the judge, of course, some judges had problems with the law, they found it unjust, but they didn't want to go against the law, so they had to find some things in the circumstances of the homeless people, and they found something to acquit them. One of the judges said in a small city called Page in Hungary, said that okay, I know what law is, I know that I should convict you, but homeless problem is only a problem in Budapest, in the capital city of Hungary. It's more problematic in Budapest, in Page, in this small city. We have this problem, homeless people are not dangerous, so I think I can acquit the defendant, we don't have problem with acquitting him, he's not dangerous, and that's all, So these kind of judges said that we accept what law is, it is clear, it's okay, but they found some way behind the law, not legal reasons for acquitting them, because of course they were sent to these people. And the third kind of decisions were a little bit challenging for the judicial practice, because some kind of judges, a lot of judges thought that this law is unjust, that we cannot treat people like this. Poor people have a lot of problems, and we cannot criminalize just to be poor, that they don't have belongings. It is really unjust to these people. The law cannot treat people like this. This is discriminating, and it infringes human rights. Poor people has human rights too. So we have to do something with this. They didn't want to convict homeless people because of this. They knew what law says, but they challenged the law. They said that this is unjust and this cannot be law. Law should be law when it is just. When it is unjust, it would not be treated as law. So they have had the opportunity in Hungarian legal system. We have the possibility to challenge the laws and to go to the constitutional court, which has the power, which has the authority to eliminate legal rules which are unjust or which are against the fundamental law of Hungary. So these judges questioned the validity of law. They said that this cannot be law. This is not law. It's because law is law when it is just. So you can see the difference between the theoretical thinking of judges, because the first categories of decisions said that law is what is written. Law is what the legislator says. Law is what the intention of the legislator, and we cannot challenge it. We are judges. Our main task is to apply law, what is written in the statutes. Second decision, the category of decisions were a little bit problematic. They would say that law is okay, what the legislator says, but they started to find something else than law to acquit the defendants. And the third categories of decisions were the theory behind the judicial decision was that law is what is just. And this cannot be law. We cannot apply this because this is not law, because it is unjust, because it is infringes human rights of poor people and discriminating. That's why the Constitutional Court should take this step from the legal system, because it is not law according to these judges. So you can find a lot of disagreement in judges how to apply the rules.
Baik, model-model putusan hakim di Hungary itu pertama adalah berhasil membuat si defendant atau terdakwa itu mengakui. Yang pertama itu conviction. Kenapa? Di situ dia berhasil membuktikan bahwa kamu pelakunya dan kamu sudah mengaku, maka kamu ngaku. Dan sudah, jadi dia menegakkan hukum ya. Itu yang pertama, conviction. Jadi berhasil untuk membuktikan apa yang terjadi antara fakta dan pelanggaran hukumnya terjadi. Kedua, ini hakim quite problematik kata Kristen. Kenapa? Hukumnya sudah benar, dia benar, tapi hakim dan situasi lain di masyarakat. Kenapa? Dia hidupnya begini, ada hal yang menyedihkan di belakang si pelaku tadi. Sehingga apa? Berdasarkan prinsip keadilan, maka ya sudah kami bebaskan dia karena mungkin dia melanggar hukum, tetapi mungkin ada sesuatu yang di belakangnya. Nah, yang ketiga ini seperti konsep di hukum Indonesia juga, bahwa sesuatu yang melanggar fundamental, maka hakim ini hak ini tidak boleh dihukumi, tidak boleh diterapkan lebih lanjut. Maka seperti hanya kita apabila ada undang-undang yang melanggar konstitusi, bahasa gitu ya, maka hakim judicial initiative dibutuhkan yang namanya judicial review, bahasa Indonesia judicial review, kalau di sini judicial initiative to the constitutional court. Jadi undang-undang yang sudah dianggap hakim itu tidak sesuai dengan hukum, tidak sesuai dengan filosofisnya, maka ini melanggar hak masyarakat. Ini sebenarnya di judicial initiative.
Okay, thank you. So that is what I wanted to show with this judicial decision, that there are different philosophies behind this decision. The judges had different philosophies of law in their mind when they decide the homeless people's cases. So, these cases of course went to the Constitutional Court because when judges or send this issue to the Constitutional Court, and the Constitutional Court must decide it, and the Constitutional Court had to decide whether the criminalization of these people is against the Constitution or not. Is it constitutional or is it okay in our legal system? We can stay in our legal system. So there were two possibilities to decide the criminalization of homeless people is constitutional, okay, or it's not. And this is the decision of our Constitutional Court. It made this decision in 2019, 4 years ago, and it said the Constitutional Court decided that criminalization of homeless people is not contrary to the Constitution, the Hungarian Constitution. It's okay. It can be treated as law. It says in our legal system because there is no problem with it. So this is the decision. So and the case in Hungary stays in a way like this. So what were the reasons of the Constitutional Court behind its decision? It was also interesting because one of the main reasons of the Constitutional Court was the first one. It says that as constitutional judges, we have to follow the text of the fundamental law. And this rule is in the fundamental law. We cannot do with it anything. As we could see, this is important in the fundamental law of Hungary, and we must follow the text. As Constitutional Court judges, we have the obligation to follow what the Constitution says, and this is in our Constitution. We cannot do it. It is the obligation for judges. And the second reason for the Constitutional Court was that the wording of the statute is clear. It is not discriminating, but the Constitutional Court said that too, that the criminalization of people is clear, it's precisely defined, everything is clear in the rules. The people cannot say that it is unjust because the court said that it is not discriminative either, because the rules never mention anywhere the word homeless. It's not in the rules. So it's not discriminative. Anyone can live in the streets, and it is forbidden to everybody, not just for the homeless. So that's why this is not discriminative. The Constitutional Court says, because the wording of the statute doesn't use the homeless, the word of homeless. It is against everyone. Everyone can live in the streets, and it is forbidden to anyone. So there is no discrimination in this rule. So this is very interesting again, to say this. So the Constitutional Court has a philosophy of law too. It says that law is what is written in the text, and the text is clear, and it doesn't mention anything about homeless. It's for everyone. And the third reason was that for the Constitutional Court is interesting again, because it said that no one has the right to be homeless. So this I cannot say anything on this reason. That I have never heard such kind of reason in my life. I'm not a young lady, old lady now, but it's really interesting to say no one has the right to be homeless. No one has the right to be poor. So the government is okay. These rules are okay. So that's why this criminalization stay in our legal system. The Constitutional Court thinks about law, about the nature of law, as we have to follow the text, and we cannot do anything against we cannot criticize law as judges. Even as judges and then judges either. That was the main reason, but these were the main reasons for the Constitutional Court.
Dan Krisna menjelaskan ada dua undang-undang ya. Yang satu pertama konstitusi, yang kedua undang-undang tadi undang-undang section 178B di mana orang yang stay habitual itu dianggap pidana ringan. Kemudian juga itu di MK Hungary. Khususnya di sistem of the Constitutional Court nomor 19 2019. Apa detailnya bahwa staying habitual itu bukan pidana dan tidak tadi yang section 178B itu sudah dianggap jelas dan tidak ada lagi tidak ada orang yang ingin menjadi orang tidak punya homeless tadi. Kenapa? Karena stay itu adalah ya hak orang pada umumnya. Jadi itu sudah clear itu secara tidak langsung. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So that's I think this is the last slide of mine. So to the title of my presentation was legal positivism and the rule of law, and how I could connect legal philosophy with legal practice, with the problems of legal practice, as we could see in this issue, the homeless issue, the criminalization of homeless issue. There was a disagreement among judges what the right decision is. And we could see that there were three kinds of decisions: conviction, acquittal, and going to the Constitutional Court, because they thought that this cannot be treated as law because it is unjust. So as I said at the beginning of my presentation, legal philosophy comes when we have disagreement in the right interpretation of law. These kind of cases, judges have problems. Some judges have problems with the law, so that's why they have to reason and why they think that this cannot be law. Why they think that what can they do against this criminalization of homeless people? So for these kind of judges who did not have law, they criticize law. They did not agree with the content of law. That is when philosophy comes. Then they have to reason why I think this cannot be law. And there are a lot of philosophical issues, a lot of philosophical directions in which we can think about the nature of law, what law is. We can ask this question, and some judges ask this question, what is law then? Because I don't agree with this thing in front of me. So I have to apply something else. I have to reason. I have to argue against written law. So we can think about law and the nature of law differently. And when we think about the nature of law differently, it can happen that our decisions will refer to. We will have disagreement in legal practice. Some judges thought that what law is what is written in the text of the rules. And that's why they decided to convict the homeless people, because they can fundamentally think that nature of law is decided by the legislator, by the government, by the parliament. What law is what is written in these texts and nothing else. We cannot ask whether it is unjust, whether it is okay, whether we cannot ask moral questions of law, whether it's more okay. This was the first kind of, decision, judicial thinking about the nature of law. The second is really problematic because they thought too that law is valid and it is clear and it's okay, but they tried to find some reasons behind law or above law or something other than law. Their reasons were not legal. They said that I agree with these people because I am sorry for them and I would find something them, their circumstances. And the third one was a different conception of the nature of law. Two, the third kind of judges who decided to go to the Constitutional Court thought that law is what is just. It's not enough to write down statutes. It's not enough that we have a legal ability to write and adopt legal rules, and they write them down, and they think that it's not enough to be law, to treat this text as law. Law must be just to be treated like law. These kind of judges say that what is against the constitution or what is against human rights, what is against equality, cannot be law. We cannot treat law such like this. So law is what is just, not what is it is written, but what is just. That's why they have a different conception of the nature of law. They have different philosophical thinking in their mind about the nature of law. That is why it affected their decision on the case of homeless people. When we think that law is what is written, then the decision must be conviction, because we have to follow the text of the rule. But then we think differently about the nature of law. Philosophical different kind of thinking we have as judges, then we decide differently. Then we decide against the law, we decide to go to the Constitutional Court and challenge the written text of the law. So that is why I think that philosophy cannot be isolated from legal practice, because as we think philosophically on law, on the nature of law, the justificatory questions of law, then it affects our decision in legal practice as judges or lawyers. So that is what I would like to say this. And one of the, maybe you know this, I don't know whether you heard about legal positivism or positivist thinking of law. I think you heard about it, or no? No, never. Do you have philosophical courses, legal philosophy course or something like this? You have? Okay. Okay. This is legal positivism is one kind of philosophical thinking about the nature of law. And as you can see on the slide, the Hungarian courts, most of them, were positivist on, as a legal philosopher, they were positivist. They think about law as positivist. And the positivism, what does it mean? Legal positivism as a theory of law or philosophy of law says that it has two theses, two main theses. One of them is the sourcing thesis, which says that what law is must be identified by legal facts. You know that it means that we should identify the question what law is on factual ground. That maybe there was a parliament or there was some kind of legal authorities who decided to, this is law. These are facts. We cannot identify what law is on moral issues, on moral questions. We have to find some facts which identify the validity of law. There was a parliament or something which have decided to be like this, and that's all. That's enough for to be law. And the second is the separability thesis. It's similar to the first one. The separability thesis says that law can be immoral and still can be law. To that we can and we should separate law and morals. When we talk about legal questions, then we cannot ask moral questions. Law is what is written. Law is what what the parliament has said, and we cannot ask moral questions when we speak about legal questions or legal solutions. So we have to separate law and morals. Morals are different kind of norms. They are not law, and a judge and a lawyer is not allowed to ask moral questions when they speak about legal issues or legal problems. That's the separability thesis. We should separate law and morals. And law can go even when it is unjust. We are not allowed to ask this question whether the law in what is written is just or not unjust. So this is legal. This is the philosophical direction of thinking about the nature of law. We can be legal positives, and this affects our decisions in legal practice. If I am a positivist as a theorist, or if I think about law as a positivist, then it affects my decision later. I will think that I cannot ask more questions of the legal problems. I cannot integrate moral issues in the law, in my legal reasoning. I have to separate my moral issues from my legal thinking, and I have to accept what law says, what the parliament or the government has said. This is a positivist kind of thinking about the nature of law. This is philosophical thinking about the nature of law. If I am an anti-positivist, just like some judges in these cases, I can be anti-positivist or natural lawyer. When as a natural lawyer or anti-positivist, I can say that law is what is just, and if it is not just, then I will not apply it. I will challenge it as a text, and maybe I have in constitutional democracies we have the possibility to go to the constitutional court, but if not, then I can go to the European institutions. That is what we have to challenge written law. But as a natural lawyer, if I'm a natural lawyer, it affects my decisions too. Then I will think that I will not apply that law because I don't think it can be law. Because it is unjust, or it infringes human rights and equality of people. So that is why I am saying that how we think about the nature of law, how we think about what law is, has an effect on our practical decisions. Not always, we don't have to think over these questions anytime. We have a lot of easy cases. We can use the text of the law, of course, at our daily life. We have to go deep inside every day in philosophical questions. But when this kind of cases come, that criminalization of homeless people, that have problems, and we have to, we should reason about what law is, and this is a philosophical question. So, last one, what I will tell. I would not like to use your time and take your time. I think you have to go to another class. So the title of my presentation, the second is the rule of law. But how can I connect this to the rule of law? So the rule of law, I think that you know what this concept or what this means, what this principle means. In shortly, it means that every institution, every action of the political institutions, and every action of ours, the ordinary people, must be determined by law. This is the short version of the rule of law. And it is also a requirement in the rule of law principle that crimes must be clearly defined, must be precisely defined, that people must understand their consequences. So, rule of law, this is the rule of law, that we have to determine our actions, political or individual action with rules, with legal rules. And in legal theory, there are two conceptions of the rule of law. One is the formal one, formal conception of the rule of law. It means that for to be law, it is enough to have a parliament, to have legal institutions, and they say what we have to do. And this is the rule of law. And we don't ask moral questions. That's why we say that this is a formal conception of the rule of law, that we have to have some institutions who determine what we have to do, and they must write these things in legal texts, and that is all. And then we have the rule of law principle. It is achieved. And the substantive conception of the rule of law is different. It says that it's not enough to, we don't have rule of law just because we have legal rules. It's not enough. We have to have legal rules, but it's not enough to have written legal rules. We have to also integrate in the rule of law conception, the rule of law principle, the moral questions of the societies. We cannot call ourselves that we are rule of law society if we do not respect human rights. To be a rule of, that we have this principle in our constitution, that Hungary is a rule of law society, and these things, and this means by in our country that we have legal rules which determine our actions. They are clear and they can be achievable, and every people can know what their rights and what their obligations are. This is the conception of the rule of law I think, in our country. But in legal theory, there is another conception, and which says that we cannot be a rule of law country if we cannot cannot respect the human rights of people. So this is the so-called substantive conception of the rule of law, that we have to integrate morality in the rule of law principle. It's not enough to have legal rules, and this is why how we think about the rule of law, how we think about the law itself affects how we live our society, or we live our life in the society, and how judges decide against us, how they solve our cases. So I just would like to motivate you to think about law more deeply. It's not just legal texts, it's not just legal rules. It's a lot of philosophy behind it, and if you accept some kind of philosophy, it will affect your thinking in practice. but we don't have to do this anytime. It would be really stressful, I think, always thinking about the nature of whether I am a positivist or not, or natural lawyer or something. It would be really, we don't have to do this all the time, but sometimes we have to have these philosophical issues in our mind, because it makes our reasoning much more better quality. I think that I just finished now my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. One more sentence.
Yang terakhir ya, jelas. PPT ini dasar. Christian said that Hungary is on the legal position and follow nature. So itu semua pikiran hukumnya dari praktisinya, dari judgesnya, dari formal legislation seperti itu. Nah, kemudian apa yang diperjelas di situ bahwa mereka berpikir ketika mereka ingin memutuskan sebuah kasus berpikir hukum itu sebenarnya buat apa? Nah, apakah tepat ketika orang tinggal di jalan itu dianggap kemudian dipidanakan gitu ya? Tadi kan kasusnya yang kasus tentang fokus tadi ya. Nah, terus dijelaskan apa itu legal positif secara konteks sources thesis yang dimaksud pemikiran legal positivism itu apa? Apabila ada sebuah kasus itu faktanya ada di situ dari sengketa atau ada dokumen khususnya atau ada sebuah perbuatan yang nyata, maka itu bisa dianalisa dengan hukum, itu disebut dengan legal positif. Jadi nggak bisa hanya sebatas sebuah ucapan moral tidak ada faktanya. Nah itu yang seperti basic. Dan kemudian yang separability thesis itu di mana pemahaman tentang legal positif tadi sudah masuk pada nilai-nilai moral. Nilai moral itu sebenarnya apa? Itu bukan bagian dari source hukum, tetapi itu sudah masuk kepada nilai-nilai moral. Dan yang kedua, conception of the principle of the rule of law itu yang paling penting ada dua. Formal konsep itu di mana ada lembaga khusus, lembaga itu bisa lembaga kejaksaan, kemudian polisi ataupun ada DPR gitu ya, Indonesia. Itu mereka membuat ketentuan di mana ketentuan itu kalau sudah ditentukan maka orang harus mengikuti itu. Rule of law, sesuatu yang sudah ada di sudah ditentukan orang harus mengikuti itu. Nah, itu formal konsepnya gitu ya. Nah, yang kedua adalah substansi konsep di mana tidak hanya kita tidak boleh hanya mengedepankan rule of law tadi dengan formal saja sudah ada aturan diikuti. Ternyata di situ ada integrated pada human rights, di mana human rights itu apa? Substansi yang hukum itu juga demi kepentingan hak asasi manusia. Nah, kemudian dalam prakteknya itu untuk menjelaskan semua itu butuh yang namanya legal philosophy. Karena apa? Ujung-ujungnya kan hukum diatur harus ini buat siapa? Buat keadilan, buat fairness atau buat kepatutan dan sebagainya. Nah, jadi di situ yang dimaksud rule of law itu Hungarian jurisprudence tadi ada formalnya juga, tetapi juga ternyata ada substansi konsepnya yang dimana integrated dengan hak asasi.
Thank you so much. On the last slide, you can see my, Hungary. This is the capital city of Hungary in winter. So it's, I think, beautiful. Professor Dodik stayed in Hungary for 4 years and he enjoyed it very much. And so I just would like to invite you to Hungary when you have time and you can have PhD there or something like this in Asia.
Inshallah. Okay.
Yeah. So thank you very much for your introduction.
Applause to Christina for thank you, Christina, for the explanation about how we understand what legal positivism, legal philosophy, and the fact directly about the between fundamental law and section about the criminals, homeless. Yeah. Maybe for the second next chapter is about the question and answer. We have 10 minutes. I open for the student who wants to ask him something to Christina. We allow you. There is someone of you to ask for maybe the legal positive or maybe the practice. We will compare in Indonesia. I think quite similar about the judicial decision initiative MK or maybe the interpretation in practice of course about the law in Indonesia. Maybe one of you, okay?
can challenge me too, so you can criticize too, yeah.
Silakan ya. Ini dari IP Mas. Saya pernah.
Actually, I have a question. So, for the first question, about the homeless. Based on your statement before, correct me if I'm wrong. The government already preparing a flag or like homestay to the homeless, but they don't want to stay in the flat. So my question is, whether the government has a solution to solve that problem. And then the second question is a little bit out of topic for today.
Yeah.
So I'm just correct. It is my question coming from my curiosities about the law in Hungary. So the question is there any injunction to the for enforce the law? Is there any injunction to every group like a women or a vulnerable group? Because some of the lawmakers, they just make a law based on man perspective. Thank you.
Yes.
Sure.
Thank you for the question. May I ask the question individually or we collect them or answer? Okay, thank you for your questions. For the first question, if there is a governmental solution for the problem and homeless people don't want to go to these yeah, I don't know how to say in English, these flats or these houses. No, the solution is the criminalization. First, the government have to offer homeless to first you have to go inside these places. You cannot live here in the street. You don't allow it. And okay, sometimes they choose this possibility because they don't want to go to jail, but some of them don't want to go because they feel that it's dangerous for them, don't feel good in these places, and they choose to live in the street. And that's when the criminalization comes, that when they choose to, when they decide to live in the streets, then come the police. And the police have to warn 3 times that go away please, because it's not allowed to live here. And after, when it becomes the 4th time, the warning, then the police has to take them to the court, and the court will decide what to do. So this criminalization is okay, is a second choice of the government, but it is a problem because a lot of people don't want to choose this kind of places where they have to go. And for the women's or other questions that the men's perspective, I just had 3 weeks ago a lecture on this kind of question that is it true that there is a men's perspective behind all? I think yes. In Hungary, this question is not solved yet. I think we have some possibilities. Every woman can be lawyers, every woman can be elected in the parliament or something like this, but it's still few women choose, for example, to be elected in the parliament, and there are, of course, I think that you're right. This law is still a kind of, yeah, it's a man. Men created something, norms, and we can, see this in criminal law too, and the crimes against women, there are some, and we don't treat it as we should. I think we should be more stronger than this, but you're right. Right, thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir, and thank you for the question, Miss. Stella. Ya, kita tahu kalau ngomongin undang-undang Indonesia partai politik. Back one question more. There is one of you want to asking about homeless, legal positive in Hungary, practice, philosophy, yeah,
It's okay.
behind you. Can you raise your hand? Ya, masih, oh bukan, oh ya. Enough, Christina, I think, if there is no other question, we give close for Christina for 3 times. And I think, because our class will be end in 12 o'clock, Christina. Okay, so this is the, at least maybe 2 minutes again, so, yes, right. Then, I'm as a moderator, say thank you for listener and thank you for the all student. Many learning we got from this class, especially about the how the Hungary rules about the homeless, and there is the program of law actually in fundamental law and the homeless law and this law, and trying to be submit in the what NK Constitution Court, and there is the register. I think that's and the last, let's we close our class today with Christina. We are sitting Hamdallah. With and we is close again. We did the group on the faculty is Aroma.
So then I will make my things.
Gimana? Langsung. Okay, thank you, Christina, coming here.
Yeah.
Thank you
so much. Thank you. You can take.
Okay, it's a minute.
It's yeah. Okay. Okay. Where should I stay? You sit. Oh, yeah. You can stand. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Okay.
Ya, satu.
Bebas, bebas. Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Baik, kita akhiri dengan bersama Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah berkabir. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Pak. Terima kasih. Yang belum